Live from the studios, welcome to JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk lives. Well, today, folks, we have a great show, but first, let's welcome back Mr. Ricky P. Been MIA for a week. He was in Denver, Colorado. How was your week, my friend? How was last week? How was your vacation?
Denver was a fantastic time. A lot of people usually ask, why am I going out there? Who am I going out to see? I guess a lot of people have the answer, I want to try the product, but that wasn't me.
No plant shopping?
No plant shopping, just a shrubbery in the backyard. But I went to see a good friend of mine, Tyler Lydon. We met at Syracuse, and he's been a friend of mine ever since my sophomore year, so we're a little over 2 years now, and it was just really fun to see him. Great weather.
Yeah. You sent me a picture. You were in the Denver Nuggets locker room. How was that? That's a good look, bro.
It was amazing. Getting a chance to do it at Syracuse is fun and all, but doing it at an NBA locker room and seeing the guys just go about their business and how it's a completely different lifestyle from college is just completely different atmosphere.
Wow. Well, like I said, folks, Ricky is back in the building with us today. We have a great show, like I reiterated, but we're going to first start with the deGrom news. Yes, the New York Mets are talking trade talks. Well, they're at least thinking about it. The New York Mets are thinking about dealing either Thor or deGrom. There was an article in the New York Post that came out this morning that titled, What Mets and Yankees Would Have to Swallow for Syndergaard or deGrom Deal, and that was written by Joel Sherman of the New York Post. Ricky, when you hear stuff like this, I mean, we're both Yankee fans. Obviously, the excitement. I actually called Ricky when I heard about this, and I was like, we gotta do an audible. We gotta change what we were gonna talk about and open with this because this is juicy stuff. I mean, it's unfortunate for the Mets. I mean, they're having a up and down season, more down than up. What do you think when you hear this stuff? Do you get excited?
I do. As a Yankee fan, you hear pitching, and we know, management's got the hitting side covered. It looks like I don't think they're really going to do anything at the deadline regarding a bat.
No, none needed.
But we'll talk about the Jordan Montgomery injury in a little bit, but they're going to need another arm, and they might even need two arms.
Now, you just mentioned Jordan Montgomery. This sparks that because now with Jordan Montgomery out with the injury, this opens a gaping hole in the rotation. I mean, you had the hole before. You had Domingo Germán, actually, the career minor leaguer, fill in a little bit for Montgomery. I believe he made 3 or 4 starts for him. But can Germán actually last that long through a whole full season? I don't know, and I don't think so. So this deal is probably necessary for the Yankees, or something like it.
Right, and it is, and what would be easier than trading the Mets for Yankees? Subway Series, it's actually approaching. We've got a fantastic matchup Sunday night between Severino and Syndergaard. I know you'll be tuned in. I'll be tuned in. All of New York will be. But if we're looking at these two pitchers side by side, I thought about it, and I said, who would I rather have?
Right.
We talked about it. We went back and forth. I caution on the side of safety.
Right.
That usually tends to lead toward Jacob deGrom in this situation. Jacob deGrom already would fit in. We know we cut his hair.
Right, yeah, so he's heading toward the Yankee look.
He's already getting ready to be a Yankee. It's one would seem, little foreshadowing there, but he'll be pitching against the Yanks, against Tanaka on Friday night, and honestly, I think it's an audition for him. We talked about it few shows ago, I believe, or we talked about it off the air. Cole Hamels had an audition when he went against the Yankees, and he pretty much shut them down. The Yankees were in one of those. He was one. The Yankees were in one of those amazing runs that they were on earlier in May.
Yeah, they were tearing it up.
And he completely stopped that, put that to a rest, and I think deGrom will do that against an inconsistent Tanaka on Friday night. And I look at deGrom, and that's the pitcher I'd rather have. Unfortunately, and I'll let you speak on this, I think they're going to have to give up a Gleyber Torres. I don't want that to happen from the Yankees' perspective. I don't think they need to do that. I think a guy like an Archer, Chris Archer, or Cole Hamels down in Texas is begging to get out of there. He doesn't want to pitch 1,000 degree weather come July and August. But I think if they want deGrom, I think, or Syndergaard, however Yankees might be looking at it, I think Gleyber Torres is the guy, or he's going to be the centerpiece of that deal. Otherwise, I think the Mets hold these two and try to rebuild around what they have currently. And
definitely, I do agree with you that deGrom is the safer bet right now. Now, a lot of people might not know this, but deGrom did have already Tommy John surgery earlier in his career, but this was his minor league career. So he's had that behind him. He has the future to look forward to. Relatively young man, relatively, controllable. You have 3 years at $7 million each year. That is very, very controllable and very enticing in an era where teams, most like the Yankees, the Dodgers, Red Sox, they want to get under that 189 threshold of the luxury tax. So this would definitely be a slam dunk. But to get something great, you got to give up something great. Am I ready to give up a Gleyber Torres? I mean, you and I, we were just in the car listening to Mike Francesa, and there's just some players on the Yankees that are untouchable, okay? It's a crazy word. It doesn't get thrown around lightly. The guys like Derek Jeter and Andy Pettit, it got thrown around with them, and even so. But these guys, they're young, they're hungry, and I can't get rid of a Gleyber Torres, an everyday player who's for a pitcher who's going to maybe have an impact in a week twice a week. You're comparing 30 starts to 155 games. You can't match the two. You can't compare the two. But because it's deGrom, I could kind of part with Andujar for the mere fact that I have Drury in the minor leagues. I have Ronald Torreyes, who could come in and be utility every now and then, sprinkle in with Didi and Gleyber Torres, and at third with Drury. So I could see where they could do an Andujar and a Clint Frazier. I love Clint Frazier, but what have we always said? The Yankees have an embarrassment of riches, and you have to trade from a depth point of view. Now, I had explained to you that the Cubs actually and the White Sox did a deal such as this, where they traded Quintana for Eloy Jimenez. And it's not, I know a lot of people will say, well, the Mets and Yankees won't deal because it's the Mets and the Yankees and they're in the same city. But how about the Cubs and the White Sox? They just made a deal last summer. So why not the Mets and the Yankees? Why not?
Well, it can be. And I was just thinking about it right now. And one of the things that I've got to reiterate, I got to ask you this. Say they do let a Gleyber Torres go. But in the back of their minds,
I'd be crying.
In the back of their minds, Manny Machado looms. Manny Machado looms. Now, all of a sudden, Didi potentially goes to second. Mm-hmm. That's something that he's done in the past with the Diamondbacks. You can keep an Andujar. What if I'm throwing a Gleyber Torres, Clint Frazier, and a potentially a Justice Sheffield to the Mets? To me, if I'm the Mets, I'm running to 161st and River and having them sign it immediately. If I could assume, if I can talk to Manny plays a lot of games in New York. They play a lot of games down in Baltimore. If he says, I want to be a Yankee come 2019, we know payroll's been an issue for the Yankees in the past, and they've really tried to go with the Judges and and the Sanchez's and the guys that have come up through a system, or getting guys on the cheap and seeing what their production can be. But if Manny Machado says, I want to be a Yankee, does that change your mind in terms of Gleyber Torres? If Manny says, I don't know what I'm doing, and obviously there's uncertainty, I'm keeping Gleyber. I'm with you on that. But if Manny says, I want to wear the pinstripes, I want to be A-Rod, I want to be Jeter, I want to be a Yankee, great. Now all of a sudden, you work out the money. This isn't another sport where cap's an issue. You work out the money, you get it done. Am I dealing Gleyber? Because now you still have your Didi, Machado, and Andujar second to third with potentially a Greg Bird or someone.
But you don't know that. I mean, you have the July 31st deadline, and then you have the waiver time, okay? So you basically have until the end of August, right? Mid-August, to find out where teams are going. Obviously, Baltimore's going nowhere. But I can't see anyone giving up anything primary for Machado, which would mean you would have to find this out in this upcoming winter, which would mean that puts a hold on the deGrom deal. So I feel like it's too many factors. I'd rather put in Andujar and Frazier. That's the most I'm going. Maybe a Chance Adams I'll throw in there for deGrom, but I feel like I'm already giving a lot.
Let's take it a step further. Machado gets dealt. The Baltimore gets whatever prospects they can get.
Let's say to the Cubs because we've heard the Cubs.
Sure. Let's throw the Cubs out there, and maybe they're willing to throw you back in Almora. I think Schwarber, Bryant, and Rizzo are guys.
No, they're not going anywhere.
Maybe you give them a Happ and an Almora. I don't know.
I would think like a Happ and Addison Russell.
Sure, you're right. I think Javi Baez is also an untouchable. So say you go Russell and Happ, Russell, and Almora.
A-ball pitcher.
Sure, and some guy because they need more money. Sure, whatever.
And it's Machado.
Sure, right, and it's Machado. So you'll do a 3-for-1. But Manny still looms come the offseason. That doesn't mean he's a Cub. That doesn't mean he's going to be a Minnesota Twin. Whoever he goes to.
But it makes me think, Ricky, if you're going to make that deal midseason, and I know it's midseason, and you are going to have talks afterwards. You see, now we lean into the Cub thing because I feel like the Cubs are so interested in Machado because they know eventually Machado will be cheaper than Chris Bryant. And who's Chris Bryant's agent? Scott Boras. So Scott Boras, when Chris Bryant is eligible in 3 years, he's going to want a lot of money. So I feel like Machado is Chris Bryant's eventual replacement. You make the deal now, get him cheap, and sign him to long term.
So let's switch it around. They get Machado. So now, what if you're throwing in Andujar? So I think we've established you would throw in Andujar, maybe a Chance Adams or Justice Sheffield. I'll let the Mets take their pick. You go Justice Sheffield for the sake of the argument, Andujar and a Clint Frazier. All of a sudden, is that what you're doing to get deGrom? Maybe you get Chris Bryant in the future. If I'm the Yankees, I've got to give up something to get something.
Of course, yes, we established.
And I don't want Gleyber to be that guy, but if I could look Manny Machado dead in the face and he says he wants to be a Yankee, I know there aren't a lot of reasons as to why you would trust Manny Machado. Maybe that's where you stop. Maybe that's where the ball stops rolling for you. But if he says, I want to beat Derek Jeter, I want to go down as one of the all-time greats, and I don't want to do it at Camden Yards. I want to do it at Yankee Stadium. That's a reason as to why I think Gleyber Torres could be expendable. And I've told you in the past, I see a lot of Robbie Cano and Gleyber Torres. And I think the game might be too easy for him to the point where he gets lackadaisical. And I don't know if he's a bad clubhouse guy. I don't see that. We haven't heard anything, and I don't want to speculate. Looks like a great kid and a young upcoming star for the Yankees, another Sanchez or Judge. But I see a lot of Robbie Cano, and if someone throws a lot of money at him, whether it's the Yankees or the Red Sox or whoever, pick a team, the Dodgers, I see a guy who might be like, I'm paid.
Right.
And that's a problem in baseball. It's a problem.
Well, it's a good thing they brought him up after the deadline because we don't have to worry about that for another 7 years. But back to the point of giving up Gleyber, I see here Joel Sherman actually agrees with you because he even says that it would be great pain for both teams because they're giving up deGrom, and you might have to see them pour champagne on his head in October. And the Yankees would have to be giving up Gleyber Torres, who's been their prize prospect the last 2.5 years, and probably Andujar too. You're probably, when you call up Sandy, you're probably getting a Torres and an Andujar to start the bat, to start even any conversation anywhere. And I believe a lot of Yankee fans are ignorant because they think, okay, let's just give everybody what we don't want. Let's give them Drury, Tyler Austin, and somebody else. Well, it doesn't work that way.
We're going to give up 3 scrubs, and we're going to get deGrom, Syndergaard, and they'll throw Cespedes too. Right, 3 for 3.
Yankee fans. Sandy Alderson gets paid too. So he's going to do what's best for the Mets, and I believe they'll eventually work it out. But who's to say? Moving on, okay? Because Monday we had a little almost brawl in Motown. You know, you had Stanton versus Fiers. And Stanton, I believe it was the second at bat, gets hit by Fiers, who had hit him 3 years prior and broke his face. And the reason why he wears a face guard, and actually it's become a trend in baseball now. Actually, you see guys that never been hit before wear a face guard. But the case, he gets hit by the same guy, and they stare at one another, and it looks like Stanton is going to confront him. Do you think Fiers was wrong, or you think Stanton was right? Which side are you taking, Ricky? Because I know where I'm going, but I want to see what the Ricky P is standing by.
So, for the record, I think Stanton and Fiers would not be a good actual physical matchup. I'll take Stanton any day of the week over anyone he's fighting. I mean,
he's like one of those guys at the club. Like, he's just like waiting outside the beach.
Right, and he's not even one of those guys that's trying to cause anything. But if you give him a reason, he'll go toe-to-toe. He's the LeBron James of baseball, as far as I'm concerned, the Adrian Peterson of the NFL, however you want to look at it. But if we take this
big boy
pitch by pitch, on September 11th, as you alluded to, Fiers hit him, and even Fiers at that moment in time, hands on his head, couldn't even believe what had happened. It got away from him. No one thought anything of it. The other night, we fast forward a few years now, he's in a Yankee uniform, and Fiers is
Detroit.
He's in Detroit. He's no longer with the Brew Crew. He hits him. And
is it intention?
I don't think. Why would it be intentional? If we're looking at it, it was to load the bases. Mike Fiers throws the ball about 7 miles an hour to begin with. Now all of a sudden, I want to face the likes of Sanchez and Torres, and this is what I want to do. I want to load the bases. Mm-hmm. The Yankees already have an easy time scoring as it is. Right. So now I want to load the bases.
Inflate that ERA.
Right. I want to inflate my ERA because I can't throw the ball hard enough to get it by anyone anyway. And now what I want to do, I want to get the Yankees mad because they're already good as it is, and now I want to make it even worse. And I want the guy who hits the hardest amount of balls, throughout the entire world, it seems like, I want him upset too. So let me ask you. I'm sure I know you're a Yankee homer and everything is Yankee, Yankee, Yankee. I'm sure you're taking Stanton. I've got to understand why.
I am taking Stanton. I'm going to tell you why. I think he was a little soft in this matter. You know why? Because you had Austin run at what was it when he spiked Brock Holt, and you had Joe Kelly hit him earlier in the year. Stanton is 10 times bigger than Austin, and he doesn't run after him.
But Tyler Austin is someone who's expendable. And we've had these conversations. I don't want my...
So A-Rod was expendable when they hit him at Bronson Arroyo?
A-Rod almost looked like he just wanted to be a part of it. A-Rod looked like he just wanted to say a few things and move on with his day. But Jason Varitek wasn't allowed.
You know what Varitek said, right? He goes, we don't throw at 230 hitters. That's how it started.
Well, that's ironic because Jason Varitek wasn't the best hitter of all time either. I'm pretty sure he was there as a defensive catcher for, I don't know, the likes of Beckett and Martinez.
Very good at framing.
Right. He was great at framing. And so was Austin Romine, and we've gone back and forth on him. But if I'm Mike Fiers, we joke around about how hard he can throw. Legitimately, he doesn't touch 90. He never really did.
So 92. He's getting 92 on an average.
All right, fine. So realistically, though, he's an up and down pitcher.
The soft stuff.
Right. We talked about it the other night. He's one of those guys who wants to get. He's Marco Estrada, who dominated the Yankees. He wants to get you on the slider, the change.
Get yourself out.
Right. Exactly. Pound the ball into the ground. He's not.
So he's very location oriented.
Right. So all of a sudden he hits Stanton. Meanwhile, it's not even in the face. Right. So let's take a step back and even understand where he hit him. He hit him in the upper part of the body shirt.
Rick. The guy was bleeding 4 years ago, bleeding on the ground. You almost killed his career. Now you come back up there in the same, I know it wasn't in the face, but high shoulder area to the left, leaning in, and you hit him up there. He has a reason to be mad. He should have charged the mound and broke his face.
So everyone who gets hit if he gets hit in the shoulder, I don't know, say their face.
Rick, these guys have pinpoint control. We just said he needs location to get people out, right? So he wasn't hitting his location, and it's oddly enough that it's the same guy that he hit 4 years ago, and all of a sudden, out of 200 pitchers, it's the same pitcher.
So I'll let you answer this question then. So we've seen Aroldis Chapman come in with 103.
Right.
There are days where he only has 98, 99.
Of course, yes.
Now why is that? Is it, not every pitcher, he's a location guy. There's a reason he's not. You know who the perfect example for him is, but he's better? Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke hits 90, 91. Pinpoint accuracy.
He's like a poor version of him.
Right. And we've seen Zach Greinke get lit up in the playoffs. I mean, this guy was run out of L.A. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't even want him there, and the Dodgers are quick to get people out of there. Look at Matt Kemp, who's flourishing right now, but they were ready to ship him off to San Diego, and he comes back. His career is blossoming right now back in, big L.A., but,
Oh, in Arizona. Who,
No, Kemp.
Kemp. Back in LA. Back in LA. No,
right,
Rihanna, but Kemp is there.
Right, exactly. Rihanna left him, but what I'm saying is some guys just don't have it. If I'm Stanton, I've got to take a look at the bigger picture. I know the money he's getting paid a lot. If he gets suspended 5 or 10 games for fighting, whatever.
Come on, Rick. It doesn't matter. You got to all start every position.
No, I'm talking about him personally. His money is taken off the table if he's suspended.
He's getting $265. I doubt $500,000 he farts on that.
Well, would you be the one who wanted to let the $500K go? Because I know we can use it both right now.
Ricky, I shop at Walmart on the weekend.
If he wants to make a donation to the Fort Lee Foundation here that we have going on in New Jersey. What we can do is, let's go. We can go fight Mike Fiers for him, and he can make a donation. Right. All I'm saying is, I don't want. If I'm the league, I don't want to take away his money, and I don't want to suspend him. Pick your fight with someone else down the road. He didn't need to hit him. I think we could agree that.
But he got him back the next at bat, though.
Right, he got him back the next at bat, and that should be it.
But you see, where I don't mean to cut you off, but where it might escalate. And it might get a little bigger when they come into Detroit is, I don't know if you remember, but Miggy and Sanchez had a little thing last year. Now, after Stanton hits the home run, which I don't stand up for, he points at him. And I didn't like that. And I remember watching Pedro Martinez on MLB Tonight later on, and he said he's going to wear one next time. And I believe he's right. And not by Fiers because it'd be too much. But I would say by a Fulmer, somebody like that, another leader of the team, probably like a Shane Green coming in, will let him wear one. And I think that's when the benches will clear eventually.
They usually get him, we've talked about it. If Shane Green's in the game, he's getting a save. What are the chances he's going to go hit Stanton at that point?
Right, so it's either like a rookie or something like that.
Right, exactly. It's probably someone that it's like their 4th or 5th guy. It's someone that, if he gets suspended, realistically, you look at it from a starting pitcher anyway, gets suspended 5 games, he misses 1 start. So it doesn't really matter.
He'll be on the bus to AAA anyway.
Right, exactly. They'll go send him down and
bring up another arm.
Right, exactly. So if we really look at it, I agree with Pedro, and I agree with you in that aspect. I think he will wear one. He didn't have to point at him.
Right.
Especially if we're looking at it from the Fiers' perspective, there was definitely no reason for that.
From my angle, I look at it, hey, listen, you know what? That happened. It happens. We're men. Testosterone's flowing. I got you. You got me. Okay, let's move on. But I think Stanton just had to have that last poke. And I feel like it was a little bit too much. Moving on. So in the wake of the Jordan Montgomery news, he has been dealt with from Mr. James Andrews' Tommy John surgery. So now the cause and effect of this, Ricky P., with the deGrom news coming out today. Now, deGrom isn't the only pitcher on this world. There's other pitchers out there. Do you see another way that the New York Yankees can go to get a starting arm?
I do. Before we even start on this take, I want to be the next Dr. Andrews because this guy seems to operate on everyone.
Not even baseball.
I think they pay him just for his autograph, just because he's. This guy is unbelievable. He's operated on every single athlete from every celebrity. This guy is unbelievable. I might just take a flight down there since I went to Denver. I should have just made a big triangle.
Should have taken a visit.
Right. We should have gone down there and had him speak on the show, but it's unfortunate for
next time.
Next time. It's unfortunate though for Jordan Montgomery. I wasn't very high on him, but he was someone who was solid. You knew what you were getting. I think he's a back end of the rotation type of guy, maybe a 4, maybe even a 3, depending on what team he's on. I don't think he's a 1 or a 2. I never really thought he was ahead of Severino, and I didn't really think he was ahead of Tanaka coming into the season, or CeCe, to be honest with you. But he is a legitimate 4 starter. And Sonny Gray, when he's on his game, we're really looking at Jordan Montgomery as a 5. Well, let's talk how it is. But
it's still a big loss no matter what because it's an arm.
It is a loss.
And now you have a Domingo Germán. You have
who's been awful, by the way. He started off well and he was awful. He's been tailing the wrong way.
Went off the tracks.
Right.
And then you have Sonny Gray, who pitched last night against Toronto, which by the way threw a gem, but he's inconsistent.
Right. So we look at the Yankee staff. So let's take at it from a holistic view. You got Severino.
And then a question mark.
He's not – Severino I don't think is as dominant as the Scherzers are out there, but this guy is giving you
I think he can be.
He can be, but I'm just saying I think he's got the mind. He seems to be maturing. He's not trying to throw 109.
I feel like he has that bulldog mentality that I'm going 8 every start, every fudging start.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think we look at Severino and he's not – like I said, he's not as dominant as Sale or Kershaw at times, but I think he's one of the most consistent out there. So We look at Severino, but then we do have a bunch of question marks. So looking at it from a Yankees fan perspective, and even in the clubhouse, you got to take a look and say, we can't match the Astros right now with their staff, and I don't think we can match the Red Sox.
That's the best staff in MLB.
Right, you look at Tanaka, who's going against deGrom tomorrow night. He's inconsistent. I don't know what you're going to get out of him. CeCe's been back and forth with his start. Sonny Gray was awful to start. He seems like he's picking it up again. He threw well last night, I told you what I thought of Domingo Germán. The train's off the track. I look at it, and before I even get into the possible options, this is the 5th year in a row for the Yanks with a Tommy John. We look at Ivan Nova in 2014, Chase Whitley in 2015.
Chase Whitley.
Nathan Eovaldi in 2016, who just came back. Yeah. With the Rays, I believe. Yeah. I think he just threw the other day.
D. Nannis is dying to pick him up in our fantasy
league.
D.
Nannis in the studio wants to pick him up. I think the
biggest Tampa Bay Ray fan.
Right. Michael Pineda in 17, and now Montgomery in 18. So we take a look at the Yankees now. I don't know what the situation is. And we know Tanaka's had his elbow injuries. So it could have been 2 guys in 2017. But one of the things that I think the Yankees need to do, I don't know if deGrom's the guy. I think
first of all, the Mets would just they're taxing you on because your name is the Yankees.
Well, that, and I think now the whole Jordan Montgomery thing has happened. I think the Mets or another team can say, look, you just lost another starter. You were already using Domingo Germán in that spot. You've got inconsistencies. We might even try to get another Chance Adams out of you. We might try to get another, even if it's a single A guy. I know they wouldn't give up a guy like Caprillion or something like that. Or, someone, that's got someone who's young down on the farm. But, I mean, the injuries continue to pick up. You already were behind the Astros. Mm-hmm. And,
you gotta make a stamp. You gotta do something.
Right. You were already behind anyway. So the 2 guys that I'm looking to target are Chris Archer and Cole Hamels. So those are my 2 guys.
Well, you know what? Since you brought up Chris Archer, all right, I've got a little trade for you, Ricky P. I want to get your thoughts on it. Because I'm the trade guy. Everyone knows me in our League of Fantasy record that I am the biggest trade guy. I was actually talking about Ricky with this yesterday. I'm like, why doesn't anyone want to trade with me? And
he's like, because you like to trade Mike Trout for Jake Lamb. But we've been through this. For all of you who listen,
they think I trade great people, but I really don't. Just think of what rhymes with grape. But I'm just saying. Listen, it's in the eye of the beholder, people. It's in the eye of the beholder. But this is actually a fair way. And I got actually a little 3-way going. I got a little 3-way
trade.
Because Cashman's so good at them.
Right. Well, what do you got?
Okay, so I got the New York Yankees.
Okay.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Non-contender.
Right, because the point of this is to get the most non-contenders.
Right.
You got the Tampa Bay Rays and the San Diego Padres.
Oh, that's a team we have.
AJ Preller.
Okay.
Now, I wish I had his job. Okay, so now we're going to send Mr. Justice Sheffield to San Diego with Estevan Florial, and the Rays will give San Diego Wilson Ramos. They're struggling at the catcher's position, the Padres. You got Hedges on the DL, and the Padres could take Wilson Ramos's salary, and which the Tampa Bay loves to do. Tampa Bay would be getting Anderson Espinoza, who was dealt in that Pomerantz deal a year ago from Boston, year and a half ago. Then you got Tampa getting Chance Adams from the Yankees, Josh Naylor from the Padres, and cash considerations from Padres and the Yankees. In the Yankees area, they
better be getting pitchers. They're getting
arms here because they've given up, if you backtrack, Estevan Florial, who's an 18-year-old Dominican outfielder who's very raw, but he's very talented. But then again, prospect in the dictionary, it's potential. Justice Sheffield and Chance Adams, okay? But we're not talking about Clint Frazier, and we're not talking about Andujar.
So they're not giving up the big pieces.
They're not giving up the big
boys. And who are
they
getting back? They better be getting back a legitimate player here.
We're getting back Clayton Richard, all right? And we're getting back Chris Archer.
Well, now, And that was the guy who I've won. I'd rather have Cole Hamels for the pure experience. Mm-hmm. Part of it, he's been there with the Phillies. Ask Cole Hamels how he did against the Yankees in 2009. Didn't fare so well. But I'd rather have Cole Hamels. But with Archer, you're getting the years.
You're getting the years of control, and you're still staying under the threshold.
Right. You're staying under the threshold.
And not giving up major talent.
Right. I think Archer's might be a little bit hungrier. He's never been on a winning team. Cole Hamels is
no money.
Right.
For them.
Right, exactly. If we talk about all things considered, the Yankees aren't really giving up too much to Archer. Hamels, towards the end of his road, let's be realistic. He's got another few years. He's been doing very well down in Texas
for a non-pitcher's park, but
right, exactly. But I do like the sound of that. One of the things that I question. Let me ask you this: if I'm San Diego,
mm-hmm. Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing? If I'm Tampa, I understand that. Right. I'm looking.
You're getting from Tampa's perspective. I was thinking. You're getting rid of.
Well, they
have
salary. To be getting some sort of cash, right?
Right. So you're getting cash considerations, right, to cover the Ramos and Archer.
Sure.
Done. You're getting rid of Wilson Ramos. There's the money.
Sure. Right.
You're getting rid of Archer early, so that way you're getting a return.
Right.
The return is in Anderson Espinoza, one of the big prospects. You're getting Chance Adams, who could be 2 or 3, most likely a 2. Josh Naylor, who's a hitter, and the cash considerations, like I mentioned. The reason why San Diego does it is for the pure fact of they're loaded already. Everyone knows they have a top 3 farm system. Okay?
Right.
You're getting, but also too, Wilson Ramos, I feel, would do great with San Diego because of the pitching staff.
I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you. I'm looking at San Diego, and we've talked about that's a tough division. Uh-huh. We've said the AL West is tough. We've said the NL West is tough. Mm-hmm. You look at the standings right now. It's Arizona, Colorado, San Francisco, and the Dodgers.
Right.
If I'm San Diego, I know I'm only 4.5 back, but you have no chance at the playoffs. Let's throw that off the table. I'm looking at a guy like Wilson Ramos. Are they building the team around him?
No, absolutely not. They're building it around on Hosmer. Yeah.
Right. Sure, Eric Hosmer guy. Fine, one guy, great.
Right.
I'm looking at Ramos. Whenever his contract is over, I'm not sure off the top of my head when that is.
In 2 years. So.
All right, sure. He'll be gone though. They're not going to keep him. They hope Hedges or someone else, someone in the farm comes up. Right. Sure, but he's gone. So he's off the table. Fine. Nathan Eovaldi, we just spoke about this guy came back off Tommy John. Literally about a month ago, I believe.
Yeah.
For Tampa Bay Rays, he hasn't thrown in I think close to 2 years. This guy calendar years, not baseball season.
Yeah.
Two calendar years. So we're looking at this guy, and what are they getting out of him? He's another unknown. Let's just say he's unknown. He's shown flashes in the past, and a lot of Yankee fans, including myself, were like, this guy's going to be unbelievable. What he touching?
Well,
98?
Actually, I thought he would be better. Because Nathan Eovaldi reminded me of a Phil Hughes, where Phil Hughes, he was best in the bullpen. I feel if you put Nathan Eovaldi in the bullpen coming for the 8th and 9th, he would be like Hader. He'd be like Josh Hader. He could be throwing gas.
Right, Josh Hader, I think, throws, 12, 13 pitches in an inning. I think 11 of them are strikes. And you're lucky if you're able to even get the ball back to him.
Yeah.
Right. With hair flocking in the wind, it's him and deGrom. I think they go to the same barber. But anyway.
Which is non-barber.
Right, and now I'm looking. And then Justice Sheffield. Justice Sheffield has actually struggled a little bit in the minors. So I get it if you're at Tampa. You're awful. You're really bad.
You're trying to get the San Diego.
If I'm San Diego, I would have been looking at a guy more like a Denard Span, someone who can help you right. Maybe like a Crone, someone who I think in a few years can help because maybe Span's a little bit on the older end of the spectrum.
Right.
But when I think the Padres can actually get good, Wilson Ramos won't be there. B, I don't know if Eovaldi, his health will hold up.
Well, Eovaldi's not in this deal, okay? But
Florial. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Estevan Florial.
I apologize.
Yeah, I apologize. Florial, who's in this deal, he's there. This is the piece right here, okay? Because we already have a first baseman and an outfielder in Myers and Will Myers.
Meanwhile, Talking about
can he stay healthy?
I mean, this guy's unbelievable. This guy plays one game, and
now
then,
you know why Kansas City and Tampa Bay dealt him like 3 times.
This guy, he can't even get in at bat before going on the DL. But continue.
But okay, so you have Hosmer and you have your outfield pretty much situated, and let's not mention Hunter Renfroe, who's gonna come around someday.
Yeah, I like Renfroe. So I like that outfield with Margot too. I like that outfield.
So they're pretty stacked in the outfield and first base. So there's no room for Josh Naylor anyway. So they're getting Florial and Sheffield to get this deal done. They throw in Espinoza, who's, can be great, but I think Sheffield's ahead of him right now. And you're getting a Chance Adams, who Tampa Bay's inheriting from the Yankees, to get Chris Archer. And I feel the Yankees' best opportunity to give up least and get something better in return is to do a 3-way. And what Cashman is so good at with 3-ways is he's done plenty of them. He's done the one for Curtis Granderson back in 2010, and then he done recently in 2014 for the future shortstop.
Warriors. Cashman's been good on those. He's been good on those, and just from a Yankees fan perspective, if we both believe Archer is that guy for the next 3 years, maybe, in my opinion, I'd rather have Hamels. Maybe you can work something out with Hamels in Texas, and that's another conversation for another time. But this was a really good trade.
Creative. It's a little creative.
It's creative, right. I think looking at it from all 3 teams, I think it's a productive thing there. Tampa Bay is a lot further behind than San Diego. I think we could both agree on that. And
if that happens, folks, I'm getting a pastrami sandwich. You heard it right here.
Right. The Yankees need another arm. We talked about Montgomery, but we know the Yankees are a contender.
Yeah.
We know
without a doubt.
We know the Yankees are a contender.
And you know what?
I think it's time for a contender. So let me ask you. Well, let's start with our pretenders. Who is your biggest pretender, and tell me why?
Okay. So, as Ricky alluded to, contender, and pretender. And my biggest pretender is actually the shirt that I'm wearing right now.
Oh, yeah. I'll let him tell.
The Hot Atlanta Braves. I've got my Ronald Acuna T-shirt jersey on that I got from Fanatics the other day. It's actually very clean, like the kids say on the street.
I'm pretty sure he took the tag off right before we started, but continue.
Yes, I did. And I say they're my pretender for the mere fact, yes, I know they've came out like gangbusters. They're averaging like 7 runs a game. I mean, other than yesterday, which was a debacle, 2-1. But whatever, they got the dub. But experience, okay? The inexperience of the youth. I know you have Freddie Freeman there. I know you have Nick Markakis there. Some solid veteran guys, talented guys. But I believe that the team is just a year too early. And what does it always come down to, Rick? Pitching. And you could score 10 runs, but if the other team scores 11, it doesn't matter. And pitching always stops good hitting. And what happens if you run into Scherzer?
Right, we've talked about that. And we've seen Scherzer get hot. Strasburg, if he comes back and he starts to get on roll. And we've even seen Gio pitch well down there. So if they run into those teams and those guys.
And even the Mets. People might laugh. But if you run into the Mets down the stretch.
And they're healthy and they're going.
Right.
They could
you're
stop
going to
you in your
see
tracks.
Syndergaard and you will see deGrom. And those guys would be number ones on other teams. Laugh or not, they will put them to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, and we've even said, and I'll get to my pretender in just a moment, but we've even seen flashes of Wheeler and Matz. If they could even get back to half of what they showed potential as, well, I don't know what their schedule looks like, but you could run into the Mets, the Phillies who've been throwing out Pivetta and some of their Velasquez and Arrieta. You could run and Nola. You could run into a 10-game stretch or so, and your bats go cold. You might go 2-8.
Right.
So I'm with you on the Braves, but I've got to give you another team.
What's your pretender, Rick?
The Arizona Diamondbacks.
Really?
This team is in first place as we sit right now. Literally the same exact record coming into this morning as the Rockies, and let me tell you why. They can't hit. Now, one might say,
it's the what is it? That thing that they got?
Yeah, well, they put a humidor in. Meanwhile, they're big reason. Maybe that's why Paul Goldschmidt's saying. I don't know if he's on the interstate
240.
yet. Oh, he's not. All right, so he's not on the interstate. He's not hitting in the ones. But I mean, he's been unproductive. Let's take a look at what it is. I mean, He's their big bopper.
Right.
He's the guy that...
And you can't have John Ryan Murphy hitting fifth behind.
Right, I mean...
That's not working out.
He couldn't even play for the Yankees, J.R. Murphy. Now, granted, the Yankees are much more talented. This guy was a no-show.
Traded for Aaron Hicks to the Sticks.
Right.
To Minnesota.
Right, this guy was a no-show.
Yeah.
An absolute no-show. Now, Aaron Hicks has turned out to be pretty
for
good.
That trade, actually.
Right,
yeah.
and that worked out for the Yankees.
You got more in return.
Uptick to Cashman there. But I look at the Diamondbacks.
Uh-huh.
Let me give you some of their offensive numbers.
Okay.
They're last in the NL in average.
Wow.
Hits and on base percentage. So a lot of teams.
Even if Pollock comes back.
I like AJ Pollock, but is he going to change them in average? What is he? Puma, he's got to hit, 450 to get them out of the basement? All right, that's fine. And I like Pollock.
Give me your stats.
I do. And then they're third to last in runs scored.
Okay.
And they're fourth in strikeouts. So let me sum it up for you on the offensive end. And they don't hit. But not only do they not hit, they can't produce any runs. They're not good at moving guys over, and they strike out a ton. So it's one thing if you're... We've talked about this in the past. The Giants were unbelievable. The Giants were unbelievable at it. And I was actually, before I get into this real quick, I was listening to Alex Rodriguez. And he was saying the teams that win in the playoffs, they're always first or second in contact. They always put the ball in play. The Astros...
Oh, that makes great sense.
The Astros were unbelievable at it between Altuve, Correa. Granted, can they hit for power? Of course. We know what they can do. But they put the ball in play. They don't strike out a ton. I was watching J.D. Davis the other day. The guy's unbelievable. He can't even get a chance to play on that team. So I look at their offense. They don't do anything. And let me throw these starters out at you. And tell me which one of them are like... Oh, I really don't want to face him. Patrick Corbin?
Patrick Corbin's had a great season.
But do you look... If I'm the Dodgers...
No, I'm not getting nervous.
Right, am I sitting there saying, oh, we're facing Corbin. No. We might as well wait for...
It's not like I'm gearing up for Scherzer.
Right. Greinke, he hasn't done well. I think we both agreed he's getting overpaid. He wants to go play golf. Right. Yeah. Is the season over for him? He lives in a great place to play golf. He doesn't even want to play there. He might just want to stay in the humidor, honestly. Right. And Zach Godley,
yeah.
I mean, we're looking at guys that don't have, A, the experience, or B, the stamina down the stretch. I know they've got Boxberger on the back end, and Archie Bradley, who was once a starter, has been unbelievable.
He's like a Betances turnaround.
Yeah, he's been great. They can't hit. Right. They can't hit.
And you would never expect that.
Right, exactly, because they used to be so good on offense.
Yeah,
but
really.
Speaking of offense, I want to go to my contender, because it's the complete opposite.
Let's go to the contender.
The Los Angeles Dodgers. This is a team. They currently sit fourth. So
started in the basement.
Right.
Started from the bottom.
Exactly. You might look at me and say why, and maybe I'm a little biased. I saw them out in Denver. They're going against the Rockies, facing, I want to say, Tim Anderson, I believe.
Yeah.
I want to say, don't quote me on that. The lineup doesn't seem as bad as one might make it out to be. They have Bellinger, who can hit. Puig looks like he might be getting back to his old self. Now, I'm not talking the guy who took over the league. I'm talking about the guy who can move things along. He still can run, still can throw, still productive. They just got Justin Turner back recently. Matt Kemp has been absolutely on fire. Let me throw a name out to you that a lot of people don't know. Max Muncy. This kid can hit.
Ex-Oakland A.
Right. He can hit. The A's produce guys from I don't even know where. I don't know if they get. I don't know if what they do with the water out there, but they must be drinking something. And then Yasmani Grandal, he's been a productive player. Another guy that the Padres probably wish they held on to. So we take a look there. Chris Taylor's been very productive. He's a utility man. I mean, we look at these guys, and I think the lineup's going to start coming around. That team, the Giants have been hitting lately. We know what the Rockies can do. And I look at it from a pitching perspective. Hopefully Kershaw can figure it out. Hopefully Ryu can come back. Meanwhile, we haven't even been talking. This guy's been hurt. Julio Urias.
I mean, oh, my God. Urias. He was supposed to be the next what was his name? Oh,
Valenzuela. Fernando Valenzuela.
You know about,
right. I'm just saying, I think they have some of the arms. They probably wish they still had Greinke, but I just look at it, and I think the Dodgers are a team. They sit in fourth. They could easily flip-flop with the Diamondbacks. Give them the All-Star break. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Diamondbacks in fourth. Wow. Who's your contender? Who's your team that sits there, prime position to make a run?
Well, you know what? I'm going to take that drive from Chavez Ravine, and I'm going to drive up to Disneyland to Anaheim. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Mike Trout in the Trout field. I think the Angels are a sleeping giant, and here's why. Okay, they have the best player in baseball. Let's just start out with that, Mike Trout, who's being overlooked by a Japanese superstar coming over. Okay, the Angels, for the longest time, they could always hit, but they never had a ace. Okay, I believe they have one now in Ohtani. The only thing that worries me about Ohtani is the hitting, because right now the Angels need Ohtani, the pitcher, more than the hitter. And you have what's his name, Valbuena, who could play first, and then you keep Pujols
ex-Astro,
right? Ex-Astro, another ex-Astro, and you put Winnie the Pujols at DH, and all is well. And Kinsler's coming around. Justin Upton's coming back around. They could hit. The thing for me is they got to get a. I know they're 4.5 out in the West right now because the Seattle Mariners have been hot.
A team we thought would slowly fade,
after the Cano, what do you know, loss. But
right, no, they've been even better without him.
But you know what? The Mariners always have a way of screwing it up in September, and I believe Angels make that second wild card. Game 1, Yankee Stadium. Yankees, Severino against Ohtani in the wild card.
Yeah, and
I think they make it, and I think they're a true contender, and I think they'll be in the running for another arm. And they could get maybe a Michael Fulmer from Detroit.
Yeah, and we've talked about the American League. I think the American League has the best teams. Mm-hmm. We'll get into our power rankings a little bit later, but they have the best teams from the Yankees, the Astros, and the Red Sox. I think the top 3, whatever order you have them in, we'll talk about it. But those are clearly the best 3 teams. But then after that, even the wild card spots seem pretty locked up. Either the Yankees or Red Sox will win the division.
It's the Indians.
Right. The Indians, that. I mean, the Tigers, White Sox,
they're not
Twins,
even at the party.
Right. I mean, these teams, I think they're looking for golf memberships.
Right.
And we're in the AL West. Let's take
a
look.
3-team race, right?
Right. I mean, Oakland
and Texas are pretty much.
Right. The only reason I would keep Texas in is because they can hit the ball.
You think Andrus, when he comes back?
Andrus is one of those guys. He reminds me a lot of Gleyber Torres. If they're so far out of it, I feel like he might pull a Kawhi Leonard and just say, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to play this season. Why risk yourself again? Now, if they're in a hunt, even for a wild card, no, it's a different story because they made Ellis Andrus their guy. They paid him.
Oh yeah, they paid him.
And Profar, not panning out to what we thought. He's still a little. They can hit between Gallo and
Ronald Guzman.
Ronald Guzman at first, right? And and they can hit the ball, but we know their pitching is where they struggle, right? And Nomar Mazara, another outfielder. I mean, it's not the days of Hank Blaylock and Michael Young, and
the
Josh
Power
Hamilton
Rangers and Alfonso Soriano.
Right, it's not those days.
Teixeira.
Right. I mean, those guys. We're taking a look at that team. That team would be number 1 in the West right now. But
you know how I feel bad for in baseball? Buck Showalter. Every time he leaves, the team goes to the World Series. You had the Yankees.
Well, it's like Mark Jackson with the Warriors. Look, he's calling the games on ABC.
Is he a curse or what?
Meanwhile, Steve Kerr is about to win his 3rd title, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Definitely.
We'll get to that in a minute, but
you know what, Rick? Let me give you some scores because we had some day baseball leading up to this. You had your boys, your contenders, the LA Dodgers, beating up on the Pirates again today.
No surprise.
8-7. Then you had the Chicago White Sox in Minnesota, 7-2. Minnesota, the Twinkies are on top again, 2 in a row. Then you have the St. Louis Cardinals handled Miami easily, 4-1. You had Philly back in Chicago. It's 4-3 right now in the bottom of the 7th. And now you're in extra innings in Cincinnati. It's actually top of the 14th in the Queen City, 5-5, locked up with the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, for all you new bettors out there, that the Rockies and Reds, you must have woke up crying, happy tears, crying with happy tears.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to look, but I mean, you got a team who can score versus a team that can't do anything. I'm pretty sure that's a AAA team other than Joey Votto, at least on the offensive end. I mean, I think Maley started today, but
yes, definitely.
I mean, he's no go, but
yeah, he's a horror show.
Yeah, I mean,
moving on.
They all are.
Moving on. About time they started scoring runs, right? Right? Why did you say that, Rick? So, folks, we're gonna head to a little intermission right now because Rick and I need to clear our throats, but we'll get right back to you. All right, stick on.